Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast. I am Melissa Deely, your host, and very excited to bring to you today my guest, Stacey Gayer. Welcome to the show, Stacey.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm looking forward to this conversation, and let me just introduce you to the audience. Stacey is a holistic pelvic health physical therapist in Rockville, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. She has 26 years experience as a manual fascia therapist specializing in myofascial release, visceral manipulation, cranial sacral therapy, and pelvic health for all genders. And she is passionate about shifting the paradigm about healing and medicine. So, Stacey, that's a conversation I love to talk about. However, I always know there's a backstory. And so I would love to invite you to share your story of how you got to be in this line of work.
Yeah, I would love to share. Um, I have always been a runner and a dancer, and always interested for some reason. I don't know why, because none of my parents are in um, alternative or holistic healing and just the natural way. And fitness and exercise and diet. And um, I was a personal trainer out of college. And then I didn't really, I studied political science, Spanish and women's studies undergrad. And that didn't, I thought I was going to go to law school, and I kind of had a sidetrack. And um, so someone suggested, when I started doing personal training, that I work in a physical therapy office, just to get some experience with some worst case scenarios, because I didn't have like the anatomy and all the science from getting my degree in some sort of exercise science or something like that.
Mhm.
And I realized that I didn't really want to work with people's body fat and what their image was and how they looked, and did they have a six-pack abs? But I really wanted to help people work with learning to walk, or changing their life on a much deeper level, and making an impact in the world that way.
I love that. And just, there are so many people struggling with injuries out there and trying to find the support they need in order to be able to come back to full mobility. And so it sounds to me like that's what your calling was. And so you didn't go to law school. Would you say that landing in this area, definitely that's where you found your passion and your purpose?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I started at that clinic, and I met a woman who worked with women with breast cancer and lymphedema. I don't know if the audience knows lymphedema, but it's just a swelling that sometimes occurs after breast cancer surgery. And she worked one-on-one, hands-on with the patients, and I could see there was just that connection with the patient. And not only was it the physical healing that was going on, but the mind-body connection sort of blossomed for me. I knew it was there before, but it just started to really connect, how the relationship with the patient and the hands-on was the thing that I was jazzed about, and knew that I wasn't, a factory therapist where you saw three people at an hour. That I would always do something where I had my hands on the patient, and it was in one-on-one, 1 hour with the patient. And that was really what I've done for all the 26 years. I came out of school, and I started doing the lymphedema work. I certified to do that. And then very early on, I started studying with John Barnes, who is one of the leaders in America for myofascial release. And I paired the two, and doing the two modalities just changed everything in the body, and changed the response to the patient. And it actually changed me in my own body and my own healing, and I brought that to the patients.
I absolutely love that. And so many healers, the work starts out being for self. And then once they figure out what their healing solution is, they want to share it with the world, right? Why not? If you found success, let other people know. In your case, you kind of fell into it. And then through the process of your continued learning, you also had the benefit of self healing, which I love because so much of our work can be for self. And then we get to expand that while working with clients. So, when did you bring in the cranial sacral work and the pelvic health work? Is that just
Yeah. Well, so in 1999, that was right after school. I graduated in 97 and I did the lymphedema. And then 99, I started the Barnes work, the fascia work. And then sometime in a couple years later, I started doing the cranial sacral, and I started studying with the Barral Institute, which does the visceral manipulation, which is the fascia around the organs. And it all just kind of melded together, like working with the fascia is where a lot of our trauma and stress is held in the body. So it just blended into the mind body approach, because helping them release, and then learning to also teach the patient and empower the patient
Mhm.
to learn how to unwind and release their own fascia. And I was learning that myself in the courses, and then teaching them, like, so they weren't a big part of my practice is not teaching the patient to be dependent on me, but to come and get the work done, but also work as a team and partnership, that they learn how to care for their body. I sometimes make the analogy of our cars. We take care of our cars and we do the oil and the fire and the tire rotations and changes, and get our car washed. But what are we actually doing for our bodies, and taking care of our bodies on a daily basis? And when we do that, it's and like you said about the healing for myself, like, I really walk the walk, talk the talk. I really am doing my own self-healing on a daily basis, because I know the effects of it. And I kind of have high expectations for the people that I work with. This is what, if you want results and you want to change and you have a problem and you want to heal on a deep level, you have to do the work. We can't just lay on the table once a week and pay the money and come to the healer. It's a healing relationship.
Yes, I love that. I often say in my work that I'm the guide and the unconscious mind of the other person I'm working with. That's their coach, and that it's a do with. It's not a do for therapy. It's not a do to therapy. It's a do with. And that sounds very much like yours. You're doing it with your patient and empowering them to be able to take responsibility and to be able to go home and do exercises and do this work each day before they see you again. And that's what gets the results. The result doesn't happen just from seeing you once a week, it's the work that's done between the appointments. So I love that you're empowering them and creating that interdependence rather than the dependence on you. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I love the words that you use in your practice too. That is beautiful.
Thank you. And I know that through all of this, you've also had your own health journey with bipolar disorder, and that you have a powerful story of triumphing over that. And I would love for you to share that here, because this podcast is all about bringing people hope and having them hear stories of other people who have overcome something, because that can give them inspiration to keep going on their healing journey as well.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because it's so important to bring to light mental health, because it's so important. And yes, it as my mother would say, she would tell me, you got dealt a bad set of hand of cards. And I actually find that it was a gift. And so when I was 20, that's when I was thinking I was going to be a lawyer. And I was in my junior year thinking I had to declare my major, and I got deeply depressed. And then the next spring, they realized that I was actually bipolar. And I lived most of my life okay. And then I did get sick when I had my daughter, because I had to go off my medication. And
Mhm.
I've had a couple lifetimes in a life. And then in 2017, actually, when I was in my early 50s, I got the sickest that I'd ever been for like 4 years, and I was on disability. And I moved home, and I thought that I wasn't going to be a physical therapist anymore. And it's really my true calling in life. And I didn't even know if I was going to operate as a normal human being ever again. And somehow, by the grace of God and modern medicine. And so I talk about holistic healing, but I do really believe in an integrative approach. There is a place for, with bipolar disorder, you really do need modern medicine. And there's been some negative to the modern medicine. I took lithium, and it gave me stage 3 kidney disease. I had to go off that. But at one point in 2017, I was on 7 different medications, and I was with the head of the bipolar clinic at University of Pennsylvania, which is an esteemed institution. And they spent 2.5, 3 years trying to figure out what was wrong, and they couldn't. And I finally found someone in the DC area that said, you're on 7 different medications that are all interacting. And you were never going to get better. And he said, I can help you. And in 2 months, he started doing his magic with weaning me off things. And now I take one medication that's okay for my kidneys. And once I came out, I said, you know what? I've always wanted to, 25 years later, I wanted to have my own practice, and I'm going for it. And so I started my own private cash-based practice in the DC area.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome. So
Thank you. Thank you.
coming
Thank you.
coming through the darkness and into the light stronger than ever.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I can just see from the smile on your face just that, that passion and purpose that's behind that, and that feeling of triumph, and knowing that you've come through that, and now you get to continue living your purpose, living your passion, and helping others. And that's just beautiful.
Thank you. And I know it really helps me to understand when people have a chronic illness or a problem that they're really struggling with, because I've been there and I
Hmm.
know what that's like. And it really, I feel it gives me like a unique insight into their struggles.
Yeah. Empathy, they know they're being heard, they know they're being understood. And I love how you said that you look at it as a gift.
Yeah, I really do. I wouldn't have maybe said that in 2017, 18,
Right.
but now looking back on it, I really do. And it just cements for me the connection of mind body, the gut and the brain, and everything just pulls together for me from my own personal experience.
Hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful. And I always love to say everything's happening for us, right? So, in the midst of it in 2017, you might not have agreed with that. However, looking back, you can see how that's happened for you, because you get to be a better physical therapist for your clients as a result of having gone through that yourself. So, I'd love to just break down a little bit more and learn what you learned as you went through that process with this fellow in DC that was able to help you in such a short amount of time, and what you've mentioned about the gut and the brain, etc. So, were you finding that your gut needed to be healed in order for you to be able to move through the bipolar disorder, or what were the key changes that this fellow helped you with in not only weaning you off the drugs in order for you to get to this place where you're at now?
Well, this fellow, his name is Frank Mascarilla. I want to give him a shout out. He's going to be, I think he's going to be 89.
Wow.
He's a classically trained psychiatrist, and he's the head of the ECT at Sibley Hospital in Washington. And I actually had, this is another triumph, is I had 20 or 30 sessions of ECT. It's electroconvulsive therapy, trying to get me out of this, because I was not really bipolar. It was just in this deep, deep psychotic depression.
Right.
And then he just did the medication, and then he said, I want you to have more ECT. And what happened with the ECT is it actually just really my memory was really, really impaired.
Right.
So basically, not only did I have to come out of this, depression, but I also had to, what I call is take myself back to PT school. I literally had to make flashcards again, learn the whole body, and to go back and go to my continuing ed and do a lot of the courses and stuff like that. But I think I also went to the beach a lot, like because I wasn't working, my parents go to the beach. So I went to the beach, and I was so disconnected from spirit,
Right.
and I like reconnected, and I walked every day, and I started to meditate again. And, that really helped me. And literally the gut part, I didn't do till this year, but that, like, it was like levels and
Hmm.
like peeling the onion. So
Yes.
and this is something I really want to hone in on too, is that it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime. I am not like, I'm healed. Okay, I'm done. I am healing every day in every way, in different ways. And I worked with an immunologist who put me on, this was like this past January, on a cleanse with herbal remedies. Everyone was saying I had SIBO, and I had an eating disorder when I was younger, and she definitely thought I had like some sort of bacterial overgrowth or some problem. And she put me on a cleanse and did this whole eating program, and that made a huge shift too. Like, I'm constantly shifting and growing, and I'm now working with a therapist. I worked with the same therapist in Pennsylvania for 15 years doing just cognitive behavioral therapy, but now I'm working with a trauma fascia person who's working somatically with me, Niall McFarlane. They trained with Barnes, but created the embodiment codes, and hopefully I'm going to be apprenticing with her. Sorry, to once I've gone through the process, because now I'm healing from body up,
Right.
the body up through the brain, rather than just doing the therapy with, top down versus body up. And I've been experiencing that for the last couple months, and it's been taking me to another level in my own healing. And I plan to, share it in my practice and bring it to so many people. It's working on not only trauma, but generational trauma.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's been absolutely profound. I had stopped running, which has been a huge mental health thing for me for 2 years. And I just started running again because literally I think I had some emotional thing trapped in my foot, which sounds crazy, but um, I did one of the codes and it released, and I've been running for the last couple of weeks, which has given me so much joy, because I've been running since middle school, and it was always my way of managing stress. And
Mm.
it was good for my body, but it was so good for my mind.
That's beautiful. Congratulations. I love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
what I really love about what you've shared is that you said, you're not done, right? Our health is a lifelong journey, and you are on that journey. And I also love that you've shared, many different tools that you've used for healing, because there is more than one way to heal. And so I love that. And congratulations to you for continuing that journey and recognizing that it's always a journey until we're no longer here in this body. So you talked
exactly.
You talked earlier about your experience as a physical therapist and bringing the fascia-based work into your career. And I'd love it if you could just share a story around, working with a client where you had powerful results as a result of bringing these two together.
Sure. And I want to sort of bring in the pelvic health
Hmm.
because my the reason I think one of the reasons I'm a pelvic health physical therapist and a holistic one is in I got very lucky, and I don't I believe in luck, but I really believe in synchronicities and that
Yes.
spirit just guides you to the right things. And
Yes.
one of my teachers at a very traditional Jefferson is a very is was Jefferson Medical College was one of the first medical colleges in America, and Thomas Jefferson is where I went to school in Philadelphia. And at that school, my first semester, I had one of my professors was a holistic pelvic health physical therapist. She also taught me a year worth of therapeutic touch, which is an energy modality, and I
Hmm.
studied with her. And so yeah, I combine the fascia work with the pelvic work. So I do a lot of work with sexual dysfunction and pelvic pain. And so I took the work that I studied. I can't really think of one particular patient because
Right.
it's been so many.
Yes.
But basically I learned the technical pieces of the muscles and how the pelvic floor works for bowel, bladder, and sexual function. But then I took the Barnes work and the myofascial unwinding and learned how to release the pelvic floor when people had tightness there, um, within that way. And then teaching them different tools like a pelvic wand or sitting on a little inflatable ball and teaching them how to release, not just like a trigger point where you just push and release, but
Right.
actually doing the unwinding of the fascia in
Right.
that area. And I think that is just, I guess, a unique signature of something that I do in my practice.
That's beautiful. I love that. And just, again, so many different ways that you can help people, right? Especially when you're combining these different modalities from your training. So I love that. And I also love how you're wanting to, change the paradigm of healing. And so let's dive into that. What is your vision?
My vision is that um, there's a quote about not needing doctors, and or not that we don't need doctors, because we do. If we're bleeding out and we need a surgeon, yes, we need that. But really that people are, like, I'm going to use the car analogy again, that people are just taking care of themselves and seeking out teachers, guides, to help them in their healing. And they're not letting, like in the United States, we have like a disease model, and we have like the insurance companies dictating how we care for our clients. And I just feel like it's really about like I sometimes I talk to patients because I like I told you, I'm a cash-based practice. I do give a super bill and they can reimburse. But if people start to talk about the money, I want them to think about like, well, what is it worth to you to
Hmm.
not have this problem? And how can we heal on a deep level? How can we get to the problems, not the symptoms?
Yeah.
Like thinking of that kind of way of changing medicine, that we just we take care of ourselves before we take care of illness and disease. Like, but we preempt it, and we
Right.
do the things that we need to do, like we do for our cars, that we do for our bodies. And we have a daily practice, a yoga practice, a meditation practice, a fascial unwinding practice, the diet, doing all those things to prevent illness, not manage illness, and see medicine and health in a different in that way.
Right. And I'm fully in agreement with you. The idea of, taking preventative steps so that we never have to get to the dis-ease down the road and to shift even what health means. Health isn't just the absence of disease. Health is about living the life that you want to live and with the vitality that you want. It's not just about going through the day to day and not having a diagnosis. And when things are going on, let's get to the root cause versus the band-aid approach.
Yeah, and I think also bringing back in the mind body, like the mental health and the spirit, and just the holistic approach of really looking at all aspects of ourselves. Like, what are we doing? Like, I ask my patients, I'm a physical therapist, and people are like, "You're really not a physical therapist, are you, Stacey?" But I want to know, well, what brings you joy in your life? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
are you doing for fun? And um really talking to the patient about their mental health, and so much more than just the physical symptom, and getting rid of the symptom. If people are looking for a symptom manager, I'm not your therapist. And I
Right.
think it's really important to know that it's that relationship of going back, of that team approach, and realizing, not putting doctors or nurses or practitioners up on a pedestal as a healer, but that it's that relationship, and that um, you know empowering the patient to take charge of their life and their health and their well-being.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. Now, I know that you've said that you love to be in person and work with touch with the patient. Is any of your work, do you do any of that online or is everything in person?
It's mostly, right now, I'm sort of in a transition phase.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely all mostly in person, but I do some of the self-treatment techniques on a televisit with patients.
Right.
But because I'm a physical therapist, I can only practice in my state that I have a license. I have a state license in Maryland, and I'm
Right.
going to probably be re-upping my Pennsylvania license because I had that for 20 plus years. But I'm also looking to figure out how I can be more of a coach role, as sex relationship coaching and health coaching, and figure out a certification or some sort of way to bring it larger, because I want to travel, and bring, I want to help more people, around the globe. I think the pelvic health is so needed around the world, and just this different type of healing is needed.
Absolutely. And I love that you're looking to expand and to be able to work with more people. So we can definitely chat further about that as well. Because all of my work is done on Zoom, and I love the fact that I am able to have a large reach. So we'll definitely chat.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. And I'm also doing working on writing. I'm writing some blogs for my website, but I'm also um I've had writing about a book about my memoir, about my life, and those challenges. And I can see, I started writing, and then I realized there's multiple books. So I need to get some outlines written, and get that working as well. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely, that's coming down the pike.
that's awesome. I love that. So, Stacey, I always love to ask all of my guests, what does "don't wait for your wake up call" mean to you?
Well, I'm going to use the car analogy again. Don't wait till the gas light is at the bottom of the where you're getting the gas light coming on, or the check engine. I always say, oh, it's a check engine light, and don't wait for that. Don't wait for your body or your mind to. Don't be where I was, sitting on the hill at the University of Maryland in a deep depression. Or don't wait till you can hardly walk after you're running 2 years ago. For me, I'm just using my own analogy.
Hmm.
um, don't wait till your body's screaming at you. Just take care of it every day. Take care of your mind every day. Mind, body, spirit, every single day. Do something good for yourself.
I love that. That's beautiful. And so if people would like to get hold of you, maybe work with you if they're in your area, how would they do that?
Well, the best thing is my website. It's Stacey, Stacey Gayer, GAYERPT.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I give out my cell phone number. I can do that. 267-872-8760. But the website's the best. And like I said, second half of life, and there'll be other ways to communicate with me. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well.
Okay, perfect. I'll include all of those links in the show note for everyone so they can find you. And are there any last words of wisdom you would like to leave with the audience today?
Um, just remember that our 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 bodies keep the score. There's a book called Our Bodies Keep the Score. And just remember that if there's something bothering you in your mind, if you have depression or trauma, that um, it's not just in your mind, it's in your body. And it has to be a full mind-body approach for true healing.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Stacey, and sharing your story, where you've come from, where you're at, the way you approach healing. I absolutely love it. And to my audience, thank you for tuning in to my show each and every week. And if you know somebody that can benefit from just listening to Stacey's story, please share this episode with them. And we'll see you back here next week.